Afternoon, Prof. Dwi Anggaini. Good afternoon, Prof. Suwandi and the greatest friends. We are from the third group. We would like to continue our topic about assessing reading, represented by Ahmed Abdul Aziz and me, Octaviani Widi Prehastuti. This topic we are going to discuss about what is reading, how many types, genre of reading, what is micro and macro, types of reading, designing assessment text. We always say read. We always say reading. Do you know how is reading process? In this slide, you can see that is a thing. That is a picture. Your eyes see that is a thing. Or we can say that picture coding. After that, your eyes deliver into your mind and understand what you see. After your mind understand what you see, after your mind understand what you see, or we can say that decoding picture and transfer into your mouth to tell by your mouth, saying by your mouth if that is a rose, isn't it? And we can say and we can conclude if reading process is the act of looking at printed words and saying those words out loud or interpreting those words. Get it what I say? You get it what I say? It means the act of looking at printed words and saying tell those words out loud or interpreting those words. So reading, because we are discussing about reading, it means reading is the most essential skill for success in all educational contexts. Remain a skill of paramount importance as we create assessment of general ability. Become the readers. We have two primary obstacles must be clear in order to become efficient readers. The first one, be able to master fundamental bottom-up strategies for processing word letters, words, phrases, as well as top-down, conceptual-driven strategies for comprehension. The second, the readers be as part of the top-down approach. Second language reader must develop appropriate content and format schematic background information and cultural experience to carry out those interpretation effectively. We can conclude the assessment of reading ability doesn't end with the measure of comprehension. So, how many genres of reading we must know, we must learn? The genres of reading is category style, category defined by style. The first one is that academic reading. The second, job-related reading. And the last is personal reading. The academic reading, the first genre is academic reading. The academic reading is what book do you read? What book? The commonly book you read in your academic. The general interest article like magazine, newspaper, technical report like lab report, professional journal articles, reference material, textbook like thesis, essay papers, test direction, and the last is editorials and opinion writing. The second genre, job-related reading. This style focus to your job for reading, like message, phone message, letter, email, memo, or inter-office reports, or job evaluation, project report, schedule, label signs, announcement, forms, application questionnaires, financial documents like bills, invoices, directories like telephone office, and the last is manuals directions. The third genre is personal reading. And a personal reading, it means do by yourself. For example, like newspaper, magazines, letter, email, greeting card, invitation, message, notes, please, schedule like train, plane, bus, receipt, menu, maps, calendars, advertisement, novel, short stories, books, drama, and poetry, form, questionnaire, medical report, immigration document, and the last is comic. My favorite is comic strip pattern. Why the genre are important? The first one, it enables of the reader to apply certain schemas will assist in appropriate meaning. The second, efficient readers have to know what their purpose in reading a text, the strategies for accomplishing that purpose, and how to retain the information well. What is micro? What is micro skill of reading? Well, that we must have both of skill them. We can break down. Micro, as we know, the micro deal with local or phrase understanding. It means the micro skill for reading comprehensions. The first one is discriminate among the distinctive graphs and orthographic pattern of English. Second, retain chunks of language, different lengths in short-term memory. Process writing at efficient rate of speed to suit the purpose. Recognize a core words and interpret other patterns and their significance. Recognize grammatical word classes or focus like noun-verb, systems, pattern rules, and elliptical forms. Recognize that the particular meaning might be expressed in different grammatical. So in the skill for reading comprehension, focus how to make phrase understanding. How about the macro? The macro, we focus on the global understanding of particular text. The skills are, the first, recognize the rhetorical forms of written discourse and their significance for interpretation. Second, or B, recognize the communicative function of written text according to form and purpose. C, infer context that is not explicit by using background knowledge. D, from describe event, like infer link connection between event, dedicate cause and effect, detect such relation like idea, supporting idea, new information, given information, generalization, and exemplification. E, distinguish between literal and implied meaning. F. Detect cultural specific reference and interpret them into context. And the last is develop and use variety of such scanning, skimming, detecting discourse markers like reading strategies. So, in the micro and macro have different skill of reading comprehension. If macro focus for global understanding of particular text, if the micro focus about first understanding. And after that, we have some principal strategies for reading comprehension. We can see in this slide the strategies for reading comprehension. The first, you must identify your purpose for reading text. And after you identify, applying spelling rules and convention for bottom-up decoding. And after that, lexical analysis. Guess meaning what you read. Skim the text what you read. Scan the text for specific information what you read. And silent reading techniques for rapid processing. And marginal notes. Distinguish between literal and meaning. And the last is capitalize on discourse markers to process relationship. There are some principal strategies for reading comprehension. That means we must know the purpose, the purpose, and after that spelling, lexical analysis, guess as meaning, skim, scanning, and after that distinguish between literal and meaning and capitalize on discourse markers to process relationship. About our discussion about types of reading. So Ahmed, it is your turn. Let's go.
Thank you. My part is in types of reading. So I'll start with by explaining the main four types of reading. You have the first type is the perceptive reading. Its tasks involves attending to the components of large stretches of discourse, letters, words, punctuation, and other graphic symbols. Bottom-up processing is implied. The second part is of the type of reading is the selective reading. This category of one's reading recognition of lexical, grammatical, and discourse features of language within a very short stretch of language. Certain typical tasks are used, picture cue tasks, matching true or false or multiple choice, etc. The third type of reading is interactive included. Among interactive reading types are stretches of language of several paragraphs to one page or more in which the reader must the reader bring to the text a set of schematics for understanding it. And intake is the product of the interactions typical genre that lend themselves narrative and description. Experts from longer text, questionnaires, memos, announcements, directions, recipes, and the interactive reading are in a Dutch short narrative and description. The fourth type of reading is the extensive reading as discussed, applied to a text of more than a page, up to including a professional article, essay, and technical reports, short stories, and book readings. Research are also commonly referred to as extensive reading. The purpose of assessments usually are to tap into a learner's global understanding of a text as opposed to taking a test, take us to zoom in on a small detail. The example.
Wait, Ahmed, wait. Yep, this one.
The designing assessment task perceptive readings are reading aloud. The first one is reading aloud. The test taker sees a separate letters, words, and or short sentences and reads them aloud one by one in the presence of an administrator. Since the assessment is of reading comprehension and recognizable oral approximation of the target response is considered correct. The second is written response. The small stimuli are presented, and the taker's task is to reproduce the proof in writing. The third is multiple choice response are not only a matter of choosing one of four or five possible answers. Other formats, some of which are especially useful at the low level of reading, include same, different, and circle of the answer, true or false, choose the letter and match it. Uh, the examples are the four types of reading are demonstrated of the shows relationship of length, focus, and processing made among the four types. So in the perceptive, the type of reading is very short. In the selective, in the perceptive, it's a mediocre short. In the selective, it is very short. In the length, in the interactive, but why did you move from the example? I'm still reading the examples. The interactive in the length, it is mediocre short. In the extensive, it is long. In the focus form, the perceptive is quite strong in the emphasization. In the selective, there are no emphasization on the selective type of reading. In the interactive, there are no emphasization also. In the extensive, it is long with a strong emphasization. In the process bottom up, you have the perceptive. It has a very strong emphasis, and the rest are very moderate in emphasis. In the top down, you have the selective is very moderate in emphasization, and the rest are very moderate in emphasization. You'll find this figure in the 8.1 example. The rest, the next, the next.
This one?
Yes, in the next example, you have the picture cued word identification for brown. One second.
What's up? This one?
No. Just keep on the same one. Yes, in the picture, you will find the test takers. Just 1 second, please. I need to open up my laptop. My laptop just shut down. I'm very sorry.
What I do to help you?
No. It's just I'm turning on my laptop. Sorry.
Don't be angry to your laptop.
So sorry. I'm very sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. Some of our friends say, if you are so busy, Ahmed, this month.
No. And the second part is the picture cued items, such as the one shown in that picture, along with the written text. You are given one of number of possible tasks to perform. So in this example, you have the cat, the clock, and the chair. And so you are asking to point to the word that you read here. So with the same pictures, the task taker might read a sentence and then point to the object that is in the picture. So if you say a cat, you would point to the cat, and so on, the clock or the chair for the same example. With the same picture, next one, please.
This one?
With the Yes, with the same picture, the test taker might read a sentence and then point to the correct part of the picture. So this man is reading a book. The test taker will be asked point to the part of the picture that you read about here. So the man is reading a book. The cat is under the table. You would point to a man that is reading a book, and then you would point to the man that is reading the table, and on each of the separate cards that you are given. Or a true or false procedure might be presented with the same picture to you. Okay. The the designing assessment tasks in the selective reading, you have the selective reading part that focuses on formula aspects of language, lexical, grammatical, and a few discourse features. The second, it includes what many incorrectly think as a testing of vocabulary and grammar. You have multiple choice, and the second part of selective reading is multiple choice vocabulary, grammar, and task. Contextualized multiple choice vocabulary and grammar task, multiple choice closed vocabulary grammar task, and the second selective reading is match task, vocabulary matching task, and selected response fill in vocabulary task in matching tasks. There are advantages and disadvantages to the design to the selective reading. The first advantage is it offers an alternative to a traditional multiple choice or fill in a blank format and are easier to construct than multiple choices now. The disadvantage is it becomes more of a puzzle solving process than a genuine test of a comprehension as task takers struggle with the search for match. The multiple choice for a form criteria by far, it is the most popular method of testing reading knowledge of vocabulary. It is easy to administrate and can be scored quickly. The most straightforward multiple choice item may have little context, but it serves as a vocabulary grammar check. So when in the example for the first question, he's not married, he's young, single, first, a husband, in these examples, the kind of darting from one context to another test has become in the commonplace of learner. Some improvement to these items is possible by providing some context within each one. In the next page, in the matching tasks, you have at this selective level of reading, the task takers simply responded correctly, which matching an appropriate format. The most frequently appearing creation in matching procedure is vocabulary. Following is a typical format. Write in the example, in the next question example, write in the letter the definition on the right that matches the word on the left. So if you say exhausted, that you will match it with the word tiring because in the disappointment part you will say he's unhappy, and enthusiastic is and disappointed is unhappy. Enthusiastic is tired, and empathetic is understanding of others. In editing task, editing for grammatical or rhetorical, explanation of editing task is for grammatical or rhetorical errors is widely used test method for assessing linguistic competence in reading the TOEFL and many other test employees. Those technique with the argument that is not only focuses on grammar but also introduces a simulation of authentic task of editing or discrete errors in written passages.
Yep.
Gap filling task. The gap filling task is the response to write to a word or a phrase. To create a sentence completion item where task takers read a part of a sentence and then complete it by writing a phrase, sentence completion task, and gap filling task. The disadvantages of the gap filling task, it has a questionable assessment of reading ability. The task that requires both reading and writing performances, thus rendering it of low validity in isolating reading as the sole criteria. Scoring the variety of creative response that are likely to appear is another drawback. A number of judgments is needed on what compromises a correct response. Designing assessment tasks and interactive reading tasks at this level have a combination of form focused and meaning focused objective, but with more emphasis meaning. Designing assessment tasks in interactive reading. Tasks at this level, like selective tasks, have a combination of form focused on meaning, focused on objective, but with more emphasis on the meaning interactive task. May therefore imply a little more focuses on the top-down processing. The first, the part with the interactive reading is called a closed task. The ability to fill in a gap in an incomplete image, either it be visual, auditory, or cognitive, and supply from background schemata, omitted details. Closet tests are usually a minimum of 2 paragraphs net, and in order to account for discourse expectancies. Typically, every seventh word plus or minus 2 is deleted, known as fixed duration deletion, but many closed test designers instead use a rational deletion procedure of choosing deletion according to the grammatical or discourse of the function of the words. How do we approach the scoring in closet? Two approaches of the scoring of closet tests are commonly used. The exact word method gives credit to test takers only if they insert the exact word that was originally deleted. The second method is the second method is appropriate word scoring, credited to the task takers for the supplying any words that is grammatically correct. That makes a good sense in the context. In the sentence above about the gorgeous sunset, the task takers would get credit for supplying beautiful, amazing, spectacular. The choices between the two methods of scoring is one of the particularity and reliability versus the face versatility in the exact word approach. Scoring can be done quickly, especially if the procedure uses a multiple choice technique. And reliably, the second approach takes more time because the teacher must determine whether each response is indeed appropriate. But students will perceive the test as being fairer. They won't get marked off for appropriate grammatically correct responses. The following experts from longer essays illustrate the difference between rational and fixed ratio deviation, and between exact word and appropriate word scoring. The scanning of the extensive reading. It is a strategy that used by all readers to find relevant information in a test. Test takers are presented with a text, prose or something in a chart or graph format, and requiring rapid identification of a bit of information. Possible stimuli include 1 to 2 page news articles and essays in a chapter in a textbook. A technical report, a table, or a chart depicting some research and finding an application form. The test takers must locate a date, name, or a place in an article. The setting for a narrative story, the principal division of the chapter. In the extensive reading, it involves somewhat longer text, journal articles, technical reports, longer essays, short stories, and books fall into this category. In scanning, reading of this type of discourse almost always involves a focus on meaning, usually most top-down processing, with only occasional use of targeted bottom strategy. In scanning, the task can be implied in extensive reading. An appropriate reading plus comprehension question, short answer task, editing, scanning, ordering, information transfer, and interpretation discussed under the graphics. The skimming tasks, it is the process of rapid coverage of reading matter to determine its gist or main idea. It is a prediction strategy used to give a reader a sense of topic and purpose of text, the organization of the text, the perceptive or point of view of the writer, case or difficulty, and its usefulness to the reader. The summarize and responding example. One of the most common means of assessing extensive reading is the task taker to write a summary of the text. The task that is given to a student can be very simply worded. Example, directions for summarizing. Write a summary of a text. Your summary should be about 1 paragraph in length. 150 words. It should include you understanding of the main idea and supporting ideas. The evaluating how so how do we evaluate the evaluating the summarizing and responding. It is very difficult. So how do you get at least you give at least a task take a point to them for pointing the main the targeting idea or to supporting ideas, or do you use a full or partial no credit point system, or do you give a holistic score? Imowa in the 2001 book used four criteria for the evaluation of summary. She expressed the first idea is how you express accurately the main idea and supporting idea. The second is writing the student's own words, occasionally vocabulary from the original text if is acceptable, is logically organized, and if it's displays facility in use of language to clearly express the idea in the text. Thank you, everyone.
Wait,
If you have any questions.
wait. I'll stop and we will start again. For summary. Wait.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have any question for myself or Okta, you can tell us. Thank you again.
Thank you, Prof. Anggaini. Thank you, Prof. Suwandi and friends.